Very good morning. In today's video, I am discussing the various transformations used in my projects. This is one of the most important questions asked in many Power BI interviews. So we must know what are the transformations used in uh, our projects and also uh, other transformations required for the Power BI report development. So I have used various transformations in my project. They are data cleaning, column splitting and appending, merging, data type conversion, filtering data, column renaming, calculated columns, grouping and aggregation, pivot and unpivot, custom columns, conditional columns, date table creation, data merging, sorting, remove unnecessary columns. These are all the transformations I have used in my project. So now I am explaining one by one in very detail. Data cleaning. Data cleaning means cleaning the data. So our data sometimes have uh, duplicate rows and null values, and in some places the data is mismatches. So these are all required for cleaning. So we must clean the data and set it properly for report creation. So in my project, I removed duplicate rows and null values by selecting the column in Power Query and by click on the drop down beside to the column name. Uh, we have option to delete duplicate rows and null values, replace missing values with the defaults. These are uh, all the data cleaning steps in my project. So I replace the missing values with the defaults. Example, uh, unknown for text, zero for numbers. In the text place, there is missing value. We set defaultly it has unknown. For numbers column, if there is no value in that place, we replace it is zero. Second one, column splitting and appending and merging. Splitting the column means I split the columns in my project. Splitting column means one column is splitted into two or three columns. So for example, I split a full name column into first name and last name. We have the option split columns. The split columns by delimiter, by position, by numbers. These are all the options for splitting the column. Based on the requirement, we select the option. Merged columns. Merging means combining the two columns. It is also a merged columns, combining the two columns. Example, I combined the city and state column into a single location column. The new column name as location column. In location column, it has both the city name and state name. Third one, data type conversion. We must set the proper data type to all the column. We set the required data type based on our requirement in the report development. So I changed the data types to ensure accuracy. By setting the data type properly, we get accuracy. For getting accuracy, we must set the relevant data type. For example, in my project, I convert text to date and numbers to decimal. We must set decimal values for numbers, and for sometimes the date column has date time option. By that it is possible to store the timestamp value. So we must change it to date. So based on the requirement, we must change the data type of the column. Fourth one, filtering data. We must filter the data. Without filtering, all the data uh, will be comes into Power BI. So we must filter the required data. So for filtering the data, we use filters to remove unnecessary rows. For example, excluding test data or outdated records. So we filter the excluding test data or outdated records and unwanted data. We must select only required data. Column renaming. Some columns have improper names, so we must change the name of the column relevant to us and based on our requirement. So in my project I renamed columns to meaningful names for better understanding. Example, custody. Custody means some users don't know about custody. What is custody? They think so. You must give proper name to customer ID. I changed it to customer ID. Calculated column. Calculated columns also a one of the transformations. Added calculated columns for derived values. We created these calculated columns and measures with DAX functions. So calculated columns for derived values. Example, price category equal to high price, comma medium price, low price, comma total sales. Total sales measure equal to sum of sales of quantity into sales of price. Customer category equal to if sales of sales amount greater than 5,000 high value. If sales of sales amount greater than or equal to 2,000 medium value or low value. So based on the sales amount, we created a uncalculated column. So whether it is a high value or medium value, low value based on the sales amount. Grouping and aggregation. We grouped the same types of data and aggregate the data based on requirement. Grouped data to calculated summaries. For calculating the summaries, we grouped the data. Examples, we want to see the product wise sales, region wise sales, customer ID wise sales. So in that case, we grouped the data to calculate summaries. Example, total sales by product or category. This means product wise total sales and region wise total sales. Pivot and unpivot. Use pivot or unpivot to restructure data for analysis. For analysis, we must sometimes we use pivot or unpivot based on the requirement and analysis. Example, converting monthly columns into rows. Converting monthly columns into rows. So pivot means converting the columns into rows, rows into columns. It changes the structure of data, but the information is don't change. It is constants and comes under based on the relevant column and custom columns. Added custom columns using Power Query. So I added custom columns in my project using Power Query. Example, extracting the year from a date. Example, sales year equal to date dot year of sales day. So these are the custom columns. Sometimes there is a need to create custom columns. Conditional columns. These are created based on the condition. The values in the columns follows a specific condition. Created conditional columns. Example, categorizing customers into high value or low value based on sales. So based upon the sales done by the customer, they are categorized high value customer, low value customer. Date table creation. Generated a date table for time-based analysis and relationship. So in my project, I created a date table for time-based analysis. The time-based analysis are like YTD sales, MTD sales, month-over-month sales, and for creating relationships, creation of relationships also, we must use a date table. Date table is created with minimum and date and maximum date as start and end date. Data matching. Data matching is also comes under a data transformations. Merged multiple tables to bring in related tables. In related data, we can change, we can merge columns and tables also by using Power Query. Example, joining team product with the fact sales. We use merge method. Sorting. Sorted data logically. Example, month sorted chronologically instead of alphabetically. So we must sort the data based on the following logic. We always don't go traditionally. It alphabetical sometimes. By doing sorting that it is false. So we use logic for sorting the data. For numbers, we use ascending and descending order. For sometimes uh, text, we use chronological order. Remove unnecessary columns. Removing unnecessary columns is very important. So I removed unused or redundant columns to improve performance. So I select only necessary columns for my report development. These all transformations are saved in the view native query. We see that view native query by clicking on the apply steps pane and select on the view native query. In view native query, uh, query folding is applied, the SQL query is built. So we use that SQL query to run on the source system. So by running on the source system, the loading effect on the Power BI is decreases. So it helps to improve the Power BI performance. These are all the transformations used in my project. I hope this video helps to you to know more about transformations in Power BI. Thank you.